welcome to I'm Loving Life podcast, A&T Mechanical, Heat and Air, Plumbing, Generac. We are definitely in the heat and air side. Mm-hmm. Tim, are you excited about this season?
Yeah.
Time?
No, this is peak, man. Like this is when HVAC shines.
Well, apparently we got notes, we got lights, and now
a couple soft boxes.
Apparently I'm grade because I'm aged.
Yeah, you
Thanks.
have.
Appreciate
aged
that.
like fine wine. Those left open.
Gray.
But
Goodness
it's turned to vinegar. Did you know that though? Like with wine, like the old wine, you put it. There was a lady in Italy I saw this video with, and she had a container and she would dump like whatever's left of the wine that she would drink every day, and then it would sit, and obviously like after a year it'd turn into vinegar.
See, that's perfect. Multitasking.
Yeah. So
multitasking.
I don't know. That's a great idea. I didn't really know that's how that worked, but.
So being in the season of heat and air, I mean, this is our time. This is what the company has built its base on. Mm-hmm. And you were been in it for 3 years, right?
It'll be 3 years in February.
No one can explain this level. Mm-hmm. We're going to try, but explaining how this is like another breed. Like for my technicians, like your grind is where you come in. Mm-hmm. And every other time of year it's nice and cool, you can be in the attics, but just to mentally go up to an attic level and you go through that threshold of it being 120 degrees, when your breath goes it takes a different breed.
It's suffocating.
That's another level, another breed. And this is where you separate the guys that are doing it for a job for the ones that are actually doing it as a career. Mm-hmm. And I mean, hands down to anybody that does that kind of stuff. But my HVAC guys, next to none. I mean, they crush it right now.
It's a good group right now.
Yeah.
For the most part, yeah.
It's just because mentally you have to be prepared for it. Mm-hmm. Granted, they don't probably treat their bodies the best way possible.
Yeah, so young.
Speaking of which, you don't just go drink Red Bull all morning long and go in the attic, because what happens is your body goes into crisis mode and it's pulling every moisture back to the center of your body, so everything cramps. Mm-hmm. Like I've been in attics where you have a pile of sweat underneath you. Mm-hmm. Your shoes are soaking wet because of how much moisture. And then when you start to grab something, your hand will cramp up. Or you sit down and your leg will cramp up because your body, all that moisture is going into the center of your body to keep you in survival mode. And it's just insane, because then I have to do it tomorrow. I have to do it the next day. And it's how you recover and how you prep before, because for anybody that's doing any kind of attic work, that kind of stuff, if you start early in the morning and you get acclimated to that experience right at the gates, because you going down and taking a break and then going back up, your body's like, oh, I'm good. No, I'm in shock. Oh, I'm good. But if you acclimate, you can last longer in the attics. It's super weird, but I know it works because I've done it.
Well, but you had to have that conversation, I think, this summer, right, with some of the younger guys. You're like, hey, this is how you need to do it, because you starting at 9, like, it's not going to work,
No. And especially then this summer has been crazy, because it started out hot right out the gates, and like way earlier than normal. The cottonwood dropped a lot earlier, so everything started compacting that perfect storm for a heat and air company. So if you're starting a heat and air company right now, it's a great time to do it, just because in the state of Oklahoma, like, it's such a great time, because it sucks to say, but it's hotter than normal. The cottonwood dropped really early, so people weren't getting their air conditioners clean.
Yeah.
It's running on overdrive, so.
And I think that's why, I think this year, because the cottonwood dropped so much earlier, people were more intentional with getting their tune-ups done.
Yeah.
Because I remember I think we were starting to get calls in end of March.
Right.
For the tune-ups. You're like, well, it's, we need it to be like over 70 degrees, you know. So then you're kind of pushed into the afternoon, but at least people are maybe they're being more informed now.
Maybe.
To get the tune up, there's some units you go and look, you're like, golly, this thing hasn't been cleaned in like 3 years.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, that's important. And I had no idea either. I never even looked at mine. You know. So that's what's hard. So whenever like we're trying to make content, make funny videos, is like, okay, well, how do we actually entertain people and then keep them engaged, and then hopefully they learn something,
grab something from it. Yeah,
because you're talking about an air conditioner. No one cares unless it goes out. Right. That's pretty much what it is.
Crisis mode. And then how do we as a company make that experience not as bad? And it's a lot of training. I mean, you got to think, like, some of these guys are on the job training. They're learning to be a tech. They're learning, but like I said, you got to be a different breed during this time. But you get that part in the communication. There's a video. I was probably 20 years ago.
They had videos back then?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
On TV, and it was like, it wasn't like Undercover Boss, but it was like, let's be a boss or whatever. Something. And it was a heat and air company that came on. I was just watching it, and he said he didn't hire people to be technicians to be. He was hiring like bartenders, cars dealership guys, people that are more on the customer service side, and then train them to be service techs. And it made sense because, it was a multi-million dollar business. It's probably $1 billion now. But he realized the customer service is what matters. Even if you're not even sure, it's how you relate that information. If you come out and say, I have no idea, I've only done this for 2 years, they're like, oh, great. Why did I pay this high dollar for this company to come out? Well, there's still a training. Everybody's training. I'm still training. Yeah. And, they're paying because that company's going to back them from day one to however long they're with us, or hopefully forever. But that's what's really cool about our business is like we are able to train. Now, some guys get it, some guys don't, and we have to make sure we know when that happens. And a lot of stuff pays a part in that. But reality is like there's a career for them, and you don't have to have it's different. So if you're a service technician, you want to have that customer service. You want to be able to talk to anybody. You want to be able to be like, I'm here for you, and make sure that the customer knows. Installers, their mentality has to change of, we got to get this done. You still got to have the customer service side, but you spend more time making sure the system's correct, because the first day you turn that system on is the most important day that you have. And that's why there's service techs, why there's installers, and some can cross between the two, and it's really awesome. But reality is
well, there's a guy on TikTok that I've been watching recently. He's a mobile mechanic in Tulsa, and so I think his big thing is really just making people comfortable, just from because he wears a GoPro, and he shows pretty much the whole interaction from him showing up, and everything. And cool. I think it was awesome because I don't think I've ever seen that before. One, but two, there's a couple customers that he went up and was like, yeah, I've seen you on TikTok. There's this issue that I've been having. I kind of put it off. I did this part of it, but his prices are good, but he's also super relatable, and people don't feel like, they're getting screwed over. Basically.
And that's the person you find. If you can find somebody that can relate and have a conversation, because I don't know everything. I didn't know anything back in the day. I'd have to call for support, but I knew how I could explain it to that homeowner. Hey, I'm having an issue. I'm going to actually call technical support, get this dialed in. We'll get you taken care of. Yeah. And it wouldn't be an issue, but it's how you explain that. You can't be like, well, I've never done this before. I don't know what to do. Well, that's when you really learn. Yeah. Because it's so much fun. I love it.
Well, and people wonder why HVAC, services are so expensive, but you're looking at like how much are you going to want an hour to go up into the attic and work like that for days, and then day after day after day. And then if you're on call, then you have the weekend too, so You'll wonder what it is, but until you actually get in there, then, you won't understand it.
But you got to pay them, you got to pay insurance, you got to pay for gas, you got to pay for electric, you got to pay for all this stuff to be able to give that experience. Mm-hmm. Just the software alone that we use, it's called ServiceTitan, is so expensive just so that we have your information, and then on top of that, it sends that homeowner a text saying, hey, they're on their way. Right. Hey, you can... Here's
a picture of the tech.
You can follow a truck if you wanted to do it. There's so many benefits, but we pay that so that you have that experience, but it has to come from somewhere. It would be great to be a nonprofit, but reality is it's not. We're trying to build a business that customers can rely on, and they know that they get in a fair shake with everything, because our moral compass, we have core values for our company. People, and that's all our employees. That's most important, because if we take care of them, they'll take care of everybody else. Customer service is next to none. Like, it's there, because if our guys are taking care of them, our customers are good, like, everybody wins then, because they'll refer us. No, that's part of it. Exceeding industry standards, and that's just being better than what everyone else is doing. What does that take? Like, we go through a ceiling every year. We usually do, and we don't say, oh, well, blah, blah, blah. No, we're getting it fixed. Yeah. We'll paint the ceiling. Oh, it doesn't match. Then let's paint everything. It's like knowing that's the exceeding the industry standard is that reason why we're in business now, because I'm the worst one. I'll give everything away, and that's why my sister's like, don't talk to him. Yeah. Because it's like, let's make them happy, which we normally do the worst case scenario, and then integrity. So that moral compass of where that line of how much it costs, that kind of stuff, all plays a factor in running a business. But I know, I love it. Yeah, love heat and air.
What? So talking about the new refrigerant, because that's something that's kind of big. Was it 454B?
Yeah.
Is that right? Okay.
And then R32.
And is that Daikin's?
Amana. Okay. So what it comes down to, and it's, some companies would use that as scare factor, I guess, because it is flammable, but like it's like the perfect storm. Like, you have a constant flame on it. You have the refrigerant hitting it, and then you have oxygen hitting it, and then it bursts into flames. Granted, it's like oil. Like, if you put the flame on, it'll burn for a little bit and go away. It's not that bad, but it is more than what 410A is. So that refrigerant, what happens with it is it's more environmental friendly. That's the only reason. So every 7 years, the environmental company says, hey, let's reassess this situation. How can we make it better? Parts per million, whatever. And reality is eventually we're going to go to more flammable stuff to be able to get for the ozone, all that stuff. But for right now, the way they solve the problem, if there's a leak in the system. So that's the biggest scare factor, right? Because the most common places for a leak in a system is in the evaporator coil, right above the furnace. So most likely it's in that coil, which is encased where refrigerant can't go anywhere. It'll be stuck inside there. When the blower comes on, it goes through the vents. So they put a sensor in there right now so that if it senses it, it will blow the blower for 7 minutes and get it all out of there. So, because below that coil, or on the side of that by the coil, is the heater. Granted, the heater shouldn't be on same time the AC, but there could be a leak, so there's a good chance that perfect storm could happen. So that's why they have it planned so that the blower will go 7 minutes, shut off. If it builds back up, it'll do that sequence over and over and over. Hopefully, by that time, the low pressure switch on the unit outside will actually shut the system down, and the people are going to be like, hey, it's cold, blah, blah, blah. Or you'll notice this 7 minute burst of air for no reason. And that's the only way they got through it. So in my mind, I think that's really crazy, because you're blowing that refrigerant through your air
through the
vents.
Yeah.
Which,
But it's probably such a limited amount that it's probably not going to be a big deal, right?
it shouldn't be, but it's new to us. So we don't have the book that says this is how we do it. In my mind, they have the technology that actually will pump down a system for you. Well, they're not using that because it costs more money. In my mind, you have switches that notice it. It'll pump that system down and lock all that refrigerant outside, or it will release outside of the system and set it in your house. But that's why I'm not an engineer. I'm just an HVAC guy that does.
Well, but Linux also puts a lot of information out there about it too. But in my mind, I'm like, okay, there's 8. Let's say a system what do the new systems refrigerant, like how many pounds do they typically take?
I would say without the pre-charge, you're probably 10 to 15.
Right. So if you look at it with, let's say you have high pressure gas meter, you've got gas lines all through the house. I would be more nervous about that than 8 to 12 pounds of lightly flammable,
right? Well, just like we saw today.
Yeah, I was about to bring that one up.
That's insane. That's the craziest thing I've ever seen.
And we'll put some pictures on this segment while we're talking about it. But basically, went to a house, didn't really have a lot of information. Was told, hey, go check to see if the duct is clean or does it need to be changed out or whatever.
Yeah.
Get there, and as soon as you walk into the front door, there's the fireplace for the house, and drywall's off. The whole fireplace insert is pushed out, and the homeowner says, yeah, so this blew up on me, and it got soot everywhere. The filters are black because of all the soot that got sucked through. And Joseph and I are just looking at her like, just mouths wide open, like shocked.
It was insane.
Yeah, because I'm like, what? This happened?
He literally got blew back because so what he told us is like he was trying to figure out if it worked, so he turns it on and sits there and hits the igniter. Well, the igniter hit the propane, and once that propane hit, it actually blew a fireball, is what he said, out at him, and he got blown back. Well,
and this dude was probably like 6'4", like big guy.
He's a big guy, and like his son was in the room. It just blew my mind. And it's just, there's no telling how it broke. And
house is only 2 years old, so everything's
new construction.
That was the first thing we noticed when we pulled up. We're like, this is a new neighborhood. Like, why would the ductwork be dirty?
Yeah.
But what had happened is when he kicked it on, the propane filled up behind it. And then once that igniter went, it just blew it, forward. So we have pictures of all of it because I sent it to our plumbing contractor, Mike. So we can be like, hey guys, like this is a training video to make sure it looked like, I don't know, it was hard to tell if there was a nail that hit it or maybe it got pinched or something.
I don't know. Either way, like you said, that's more scarier. That's scarier, that route than it would be refrigerant. I mean, the refrigerant, is scary, but reality is man,
there's a lot less of it, and it's probably not enough to actually blow up a house, right? I mean,
I don't think it could blow up. I don't know. We haven't messed with it. Everything's going to be different. How the gauges read, how we service the equipment, how we check the system. Because now, like right now, if there's a leak in the system, you're supposed to find that. You don't just put a pound of gas in, get them by. It will be a more process because that leak could be anywhere. And for us, we finally got to put in a mini split that had that new refrigerant. It's crazy because they have left-handed screws on the valves so that you don't mix up the refrigerant.
Oh, really?
So it's not, clockwise tightened the other way. What is that called? I think that's left-handed something. I don't know.
I think so.
I'm not technical about that. But reality is they're trying to prevent us to anything. They had to lower how much refrigerant's in the bottle so that they can ship them. Because now they're 20 pounds. Well, they were like 25. Well, they had to go lower because of the risk, right? Yeah. But if you have 40 pounds, 40 pounds of them, it's like you're still in the same boat.
Have you thought about? Are you planning on keeping that outside, or how are you planning on storing that?
We have propane tanks out here. We have acetylene out here. I mean, it's not anything more than what we deal with. I mean, we have gas lines in the lawn. I mean, it's not that. That's what I'm saying. It's a very interesting. Companies could use that as a scare tactic very easily. It's just understanding it is the most important thing, because like you said, it's not much more than anything else that we do, but it is different. It's just the price of everything is going to go higher.
Right. Regulations on it are a lot harder. Yeah. Insurance costs because of you carrying that around. Probably have to have hazmat stickers, on the trucks, I imagine. Just current event wise, did you see that the WNBA team and the USA team played?
Amazing.
And the USA team got smoked. Like, I thought it was awesome. Like it was so great.
Clark, she didn't even go off.
Right. She just had 10 assists. Yeah, she didn't even. I think she scored like 4 points.
I can't say the girl's name that
Angel
went
Reese?
off. No,
she's like. I think she's. Yeah, it sounded like an African name or something.
Man, she was just dropping.
But she had like what 36 or something.
It was awesome, and that just shows the character of Caitlin Clark, that she didn't want the spotlight. She just wants to be a great basketball player. Yeah. That's it. That's pretty dope.
And the other part was interesting is because they pit Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark like against each other, but they actually played really well.
Yeah, they did.
Angel Reese only had like nothing but nice things to say afterwards. She's like, "This is the first time I played with the point guard that set me up. Made the right passes. Whatever."
And she did one behind the back. Right. I was like, man, she's good.
So on the men's side, I don't know if you saw, but South Sudan played Team USA.
Yes.
And the USA only won by 1 point because LeBron did a layup, right? Well, when I was digging into it, and you look at the South Sudan team, they're all like the same height, tall. Like,
really?
They're giant. They're giant people. So South Sudan has only been a country for like 13 years, right? So really, really new, because there was a civil war there, blah, blah. But the guy that's running South Sudan basketball is Luol Deng. I don't know if you remember him. He played for the Bulls. He was a professional NBA player, all-star, and he was asked to basically start, their basketball. And Luol Deng is a great player, like all-star. I don't know how many years he was an all-star, but he was a great defensive player, 3 points, all that kind of stuff. And like right now he's building gyms. He wasn't even paid for this. He had to put his own money into it. Yeah, because there's new country. They don't have anything. And they have no indoor basketball courts. So these dudes have been practicing outside the whole time in Africa. Like,
he's putting it.
Dude, that's why,
impressive.
That's why it doesn't surprise me that that it was that close. I think it shocked a lot of people. But if you watch that team, like, they're so athletic. You usually see the point guards, that's a short guy, and then you have your centers.
Yeah.
All of them were like center height,
No
They're
way.
big dudes. Like the point guard was like dwarfing, Stephen Curry.
Oh yeah.
Right. And Stephen Curry's like 6'2".
Right.
They're just giant and
that's
athletic,
awesome.
And it was crazy. They just beat Germany though. Germany is usually the team to beat.
Right.
Usually when it was like Dirk.
If it wasn't
Nowitzki.
us, right? Yeah. That's crazy. Yeah. I didn't know that.
Yeah. I thought it was pretty cool.
I saw the highlights of it, and I mean, they were going.
I think who was it? I think it was Anthony Edwards. Before they had close games, he was like, "Yeah, I'm going to be the best," all this stuff. And then after they won that game versus South Sudan, they're like, "How did you guys win tonight?" He said, "LeBron James. That's it." He was like, "LeBron James. That's the only person that brought us through."
But are they on playoffs to go to the Paris? Is that what it is? Olympics?
It's the lead up to it. Yeah.
So.
I want to.
Interesting.
I can't remember. Yeah, I don't remember what the format is for the medal games. I want to say it's a pre-qualifying stage
to get into it.
I believe so. I think that's how that works. But I don't know. I could see South Sudan and USA going for gold and silver.
I believe it,
because USA beat Serbia easier, and they have Jokic on that team.
Yeah.
And I think Doncic too, right? I think he's Serbian too.
You're the basketball guy. I'm not, bro.
Well, I've been watching basketball pretty much my whole life and just playing it, which is kind of ironic because the Philippines, the national sport is basketball, but everyone's like 5'5".
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I've seen some videos of them, so it's pretty interesting.
That wasn't me. There's no videos of me playing basketball.
No. But there is videos of Philippine playing.
Yes, you can look it up on TikTok. It's
pretty
great.
good. It's awesome. What else you got?
Well,
I'm
Joseph's
loving
going
life.
on vacation
Oh,
next
yeah.
week. I wanted to bring that up. Fifth vacation of the year.
No, it's
no one's
not.
keeping. No one's counting.
There's not. I have not been on one, sir.
I just need to throw it in there.
No.
Jessica likes to throw jabs in there too. So
No, it's fine. It's hard. It's definitely a hard time to take vacation. But, my dad, I mean, he worked blood, sweat, and tears all the time, and we miss those moments. And, for me, it's like, all right, do I take that chance and, not plan something, hope, whatever? Because you never know, like, when's the perfect time to go take that trip. But,
we're only giving Joseph a hard time because it's during the summer. That's it.
Well, my kids are off in summertime, so I have to go because I can't. When they're young, you can go anytime you want, but they only have summer break. So, and you want to have a summer break because for you were always traveling. For me, like whenever we got a summer trip, it was awesome, and we barely got a couple of them.
Yeah,
I remember like cruises. We spent a lot of time with our grandparents at the lake. A lot of time because they would drop us off and they would work and we would do our thing. So, I mean,
well, my wife wants to get into like traveling. She wants to see the country and everything. I was like, you can count me out of it because,
you used to do it all the time.
But like in the Philippines, we probably moved 8 times.
Right.
It felt like what they talk about the military kids. Like they just get uprooted. It happened all the time. And then on top of that, we come back to the States and we travel for 9 months. Like I remember. The roughest was a 10-week trip from Oklahoma, and we made our way to California and then back. And let's see, Melanie this would have been 99. So Melanie was just born, like in the car seat. And we had 4. So there's 4 kids and then my parents, and we were all in one of those little mini Astro vans. You remember those things? Yeah. So we spent 10 weeks on the road with a newborn, right? So I watched Melanie for most of it because Ben and Mark and Steven were in the back, and then the captain's chairs like in the middle. It'd be me and Melanie because I took care of Melanie. Yeah. And I remember when we finally got back to Oklahoma, we probably had like this much of just stuff on the floor because people give you things.
Yeah.
So there's just everything. You don't have anywhere to put it. And I was like, screw this. This sucks, man. Like traveling.
And how many years did you do that?
Let's see. We did it 95, 99, 2004, and then 2009. So, but it'd be insane. Every 4 to 5 years.
Can we drop you singing?
No.
Can we drop a video of you singing?
My mom, she shared a clip of me singing in the group chat. I was like, I
think it'd be great. Good. They used to sell CDs.
Yeah, but we had to.
That's your loving life right there.
We had to do that to sell tickets or buy plane tickets to go home.
Back to the Philippines.
Yeah. Because it was crazy. I want to say it was close to $1,200 or $2,000 a person just to fly back. And you go back, I mean, you're 99, 2004, like that's a lot of money.
Yeah, that'd be a lot more right now.
Yeah. And I remember my dad, we'd always buy a car here whenever we come back, but it was always used. It was always breaking down. Them? There's just, like 39th Street, like the used car lots over there. My dad would go there, he would spend like, I want to say $3,000 or something
on a minivan all the way across town.
So that same minivan, that 10-week trip, we got stuck in Chico, California for 2 weeks because the transmission went out. I remember the transmission went out on the highway, like the big old freeway. It's probably like 10 lanes or something stupid like that. Goodness. And we got stuck there. Didn't know anyone there, And
there's no cell phones.
Well. Let's see. Did they have? I think my dad had a flip phone actually.
Okay.
So that would have been 2004. Grace. Yeah. So he had a flip phone, and I remember this is when maps, right? Maps were still a thing, and it'd be my mom and dad up front. My mom's holding maps. Oh, take this turn, that exit. And there would be fights that happen and stuff. My dad's all pissed off, and but I remember on that one, the transmission went out. We were on the side of the freeway, and my dad ended up calling the pastor of the church that we were just at. I want to say we left Chico and went to San Diego. I think it's what it was. And we got stuck in between there. I want to say maybe Fresno, something like that. But not really a great town or anything. So my dad calls that pastor and say, hey, where's a church here? Who's a pastor that can help us?
Right.
You know? And we got connected to, what is her name? Anyway, got connected to this pastor and their family. Their church ended up paying for the transmission. It was like $2,500 or something.
Wow.
We ended up staying at, I want to say their house or one of their church members' houses for a week or two, whatever the time was. And then him and his family, like, they sang a lot, and he actually wrote music. So for years and years, and I think until like 3 years ago, my mom transposed his music. So he would write out, and she would put the actual notes,
music behind it.
Yeah, behind it. You know, so it was this
That's really cool.
You know, and it was this random connection by the transmission going out. They ended up visiting us in the Philippines, like 2003 maybe. No, it happened in 04. So I think it was like 07, 06, something like that. Him and his two boys came. They're real tall. AJ and I can't remember the other one's name, but they went to a couple youth camps with us, and we ended up playing basketball. And you know, they're 6'2",
yeah,
you know, athletic. It was great. It was awesome.
Man, that's awesome.
Yeah. So anyway, just random meetings that happen. I mean, it was obviously supposed to happen, but you just don't know.
No.
And you're in the situation. You got 4 kids in the car.
That's
town,
crazy.
You know, you have a flip phone and maps. Like, you know,
you weren't even using MapQuest, man.
Yeah. There's nothing. Yeah.
Well,
anyway.
At the end of the day, loving life.
Yeah.
Man, it was great. Good to show. Have a good one.